Hello dear students, this is the online class for PUC first year business studies. Under this concept, we have been studying, as you all know, the nature, the first chapter, that is the first chapter business study, that is the nature and purpose of business. After studying the nature and purpose of business, we have seen the concept of business, the introduction part of what exactly the meaning of business and objectives of business. So later on, after completion of all these, the basic introduction part, and nature, characteristics and objectives of business, in the today's class, that I am going to discuss regarding factors affecting the business decisions. So for that, I am standing before the camera along with my camera technician, my best friend Mustafa Page sir. So let us discuss, dear students, factors affecting business decisions. Okay, dear students, so the today's class for PUC first year business studies. As you all know, the subject code for this subject is 27. So we have been studying the first chapter number first, that is nature and purpose of business. Nature and purpose of business. So under this chapter, we have seen the concept of business, what exactly the business we have seen, and characteristics, nature of business. So objectives of business we have studied in the earlier videos. In the today's class, so I am very much interested to discuss about factors affecting business decision. Factors affecting business decision. Dear students, it does mean that while commencing the business, so while starting the business, what are the factors to be affected with us? So that we need to discuss about this. So as you all know, dear students, there are so many difficulties are there in the society or in the market. So as you all know, the real life, it is really very hard and really very tough. So it is full of competitive era. So it is always less of roses and more of thorns. It is not always a bed of roses, that I am going to say. Whenever you are going to commence the business, as you all know, the main intention of the business is to earn the profit. To reach that desired destiny, we need to face so many risk and hindrances, some problems. So that we are going to study in this today's video class, that is factors affecting business decisions. So while taking some decisions about the business, so what are the factors to be faced? So that I am going to discuss in this video class. So my dear students, look at factors affecting business decisions. So some few factors are there that are very much essential to be considered, so while taking the decision of business. So selection of line of business, in the first point, that is selection of line of business. The first factor, that is selection of line of business. So it depends on demand, knowledge, Later on we will discuss regarding these points and the profit. So these factors are considered while studying this selection of line of business. So this is the first factors. So let us see location of business. So location or addresses or domicile, you can say location of business. This is also very important factor to be considered while this one study of business decisions. So location of business. So this also very dependent on this one demand, and the next one raw material, available of raw material, you can say raw materials, available of raw materials. So next factor, that is finance arrangement, very important. Finance is just like a human blood. How the human body is needed, the human blood, the finance is also work. It also works in the business concept. Finance arrangement of finance, you can say arrangement. So from various sources you can say the savings, some own savings, some other loan facilities from relatives and banks, etc. Loans from banks, I can say, right? Some taking some helps from the relatives for commencement of business. So while considering this one finance arrangement. So next, choice of form of business. Choice of form of business. So there are so many forms of business. So you'll come to know after completion of this first unit, first chapter. So there are so many choice or forms of business. I'll see. I'll discuss later on. So next one, size of business. This is also very important factor. So size of business. As I said, this is also very important factor to be considered while taking some decisions about the business. The size of business, it may be a big, small, so and medium, whatever it may be, big, small and medium. Then the last one, tax obligation. This is the last point to be considered. So while studying the factors affecting the business decision, that is, dear students, tax obligation. So you all are very beginners to tax obligation, this commerce study. So you might have heard about some more tax and what exactly tax. So we'll see, we'll discuss regarding this tax obligation. So what exactly the tax obligations. So we can discuss about these factors affecting business. My dear students, these are very much considerable factors while taking some decisions about the business, about the commencement of business. So very important factors that I have written on this board. So my dear students, please concentrate. This is the first factor, that is selection of line of business. So say for example, after studying all the information about the business, so when you are going to commence the business, so you are going to think under which line that I am going to start the business. Whether it may be a bookstall or it may be a cloth stores, or it may be a general stores, or it may be a medical shop. So what kind of business that I am going to start, that decision is to be very important. So while thinking about this, you need to consider these three following points. So one is, so what kind of business that I am going to start in this area? So for that question, so we need to answer whether the demand is there or not for commencement of this kind of business. So we need to consider this point, and after that, so after considering this point, so we need to think about whether we are a knowledge person for commencement of this kind of business or not. So, for example, the somewhat sweet business, a sweet market, sweet mart you can say. So in the market you can see lot of sweet marts in the markets, and there are so many demands for that variety of sweets. In this area we need to start, this kind of business. What is that? Sweet mart, commencement of sweet mart. But we should know how to prepare the sweets, various sweets like jalebi, like laddu, so on and so forth. We need to have the knowledge regarding all these preparation of different varieties of sweets. So, and above all these things, we need to concentrate our desired destiny, that is the intention of business, that is the earning profit. So then this factor is very important and very considerable point, that is selection of the line of business. Say for example, we are quite familiar to prepare this one, the kunda, you can say. This is also a variety of sweet. So we are very expert in kunda, but we are starting our business in Dharwad. So there will not be a quite demand for that sweet mart, that sweet. So if you are this one very expert to prepare this one, that sweet kunda, then you need to start the business. Better to start the business in Belgaum instead of starting in Dharwad. So like that, selection of line of business is also very important. So after this, dear students, as I said very few seconds back, location of business is also very important. So as I said, the very live example, you are very expert in making a kardent. So for the kardent, the city Gokak is very famous, that is very near to our institution. So Gokak, so that you are staying in this one, your local place, but you are very expert in preparing kardent. So, but you need to prepare, we need to consider, you need to start your business, better to start in Gokak then only, so you can get lots of demands. So some availability of raw materials are also very important. So for commencement of business, so that is location of business, means in which place we have to start our business. That is very important. So dear students, that is very next point, finance arrangement. As I said earlier, so how the human body is essential, the blood, similarly the business unit or the organization, so the business organization needs the finance like a blood. So finance arrangement, so how do we arrange this finance? So we can arrange from our savings, so we can arrange the finance from the loans from various banks on the basis of interests, banks on the different rates of interest. So we need to concentrate, we need to consider, so which bank is ready to pay make the arrangement of these loans at the lower rate of interest. So from that bank only we are ready to borrow the loan for arrangement of finance. So sometimes dear students, relatives are also, so they are also ready to provide this one loan facilities, some financial arrangement to commence the business. So as you all know, dear students, for commencement of business, without having the finance, without having the sufficient finance for your capital, so you cannot commence the business. That is the reason this factor is also very considerable. So the next point, that is choice of form of business. Choice of form of business, So before this point is very important to discuss. After this point, so I will discuss regarding this. Look here, size of business. Size of business means, dear students, whether you are going to start the big business organization, whether you are going to start a small business organization, or you can start the medium scale the business organization. So on the basis of this size, so you need to consider, so what kind of business, so we need to start. Size of business is very important. So for the sake of the commencement of business, if you are going to expecting the large amount of profit, you need to start the big business organization. So whenever you are going to commence the big business organization, you need to produce more. So whenever you are producing more, you can minimize the cost of productions, and so at the meantime, if you increase the sales, then you can reach the desired destiny of earning profit. So after this point, dear students, choice of form of business is also very important. So there are several forms of business, dear students. If you are going to commence the business alone or a single person, so that form of business is said to be a sole trading concern. So that kind of business is said to be single form of business. So if you are going to start under the Partnership Act, as per the Indian Partnership Act 1932, there are several rules and regulations for commencement of this one partnership form of business. My dear students, so after that, you can start some company also, joint stock companies. So if you are crossing more number of maximum number of partners, my dear students, so whenever you are going to expand your existing business, you need to commence the joint stock company with a large scale amount of capital. So last point, that is tax obligation, my dear students. So tax obligation, tax in the sense, so whatever we are paying from our earnings to the government, that is to be said as tax obligations. That is very essential for this payment. Why? Because, dear students, we are expecting lot of developments, lot of works from the government. So lot of infrastructures, facilities, lot of facilities from the government. So whenever we are expecting all these from the government, we need to pay the tax from our earnings. Then only it can provide a lot of facilities to the society. So like these, dear students, we can see a lot of factors affecting business decisions. While commencing the business, these are the considerable factors. So those are, in brief, you can say the selection of line of business means what kind of business that you are going to start. So while asking about these questions, you need to fulfill these points. So whether the demand for your business is there or not, so if you are having the sufficient knowledge is there or not, so from that business we are fulfilling our target. So our business target, that points to be considered. So that is the reason selection of the line of business is very important factor that affects while taking the decision of business. Location of business is also very important, dear students, as I said. So if you are having the lots of efforts, lot of knowledge, lot of capacity, but so we need to find the demand for it. So from in that location only we need to commence our business. So please concentrate while selecting the location of business, whether there is a demand, whether there is available raw materials, then only we can start our business. Dear students, a financial arrangement, this is very important factor. So above all, you know everything regarding this one commencement of business. This is the financial factor is very essential. So choice of form of business. So there are so many forms of business, as I said, sole trading concern, so Partnership Act, joint stock companies, some other cooperative societies are also, you can see. So a lot of forms of business are also there while starting the business. It depends on your size of business, whether your business is small business, whether it is big business, or it is a medium scale business. So on the basis of this, we need to consider choice of form of business. This is the last point, very important factor about while starting the business decision, that is tax obligation. Whenever we are expecting a lot of facilities from the government, so from the government, we being the society, the citizen of our country, so we need to make some portion from our earnings as a tax to the government. So these are the considerable factors which are very much affected to the business decisions. So with this, I would like to conclude the today's video class. I have tried my level best. Thank you for watching this video. See you on next video.